Good morning, and welcome to the Inside Career Success Show, sponsored by Career Master Magazine. I am Dr. Lisa Lindsay Wicker, your host for today, publisher of Career Master Magazine and the CEO of Linwick and Associates. As always, I'm ecstatic to be here with you this morning to bring to you a wonderful, fabulous, proven leader. And that is what this show is about. We have the 13th episode of something new, something fabulous, and something amazing. And this show is about high profile women, women who are mastering their careers, women who are supporting others, women who are giving back, and women who are lifting others up while they are in the marketplace, compelling themselves to do the business of business. And so here we are again today. And we hope that you will take the time to take notes, to engage, to be involved in our conversation as we bring on Judy Brunson. And so before we do so, let me tell you just a bit about Career Master Magazine. It's always important to hear about what we're doing at the publication. Career Master Magazine is a quarterly publication that launched in 2018 with launch parties bringing it to the stage in New York, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Detroit, Michigan. Since that time, we've grown globally, which is to advance women's leadership and the ability to do that in the marketplace on a daily basis. We are also about the business of mentoring girls, and we do that through our programming. So today we're going to talk to a woman who is also about mentoring others, and we were going to tell you a little about her. So before doing so, let me bring her on. Hi, Judy.
Hello, good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us. I'm so excited that you took the time for what must be a busy schedule to carve out just a bit of your time to talk with us. And so I'd like to introduce you, and then we'll get started with our conversation. So, Judy Brunson, and by the way, I always say this on the show, I am not going to try to recall all of the facts about your illustrious career. So, I am going to take the moment to just actually read your bio. And so Judy Brunson serves as Vice President Global Quality of Cummings Incorporated. Prior to joining Cummings, Judy spent 20 years in the Daimler and DaimlerChrysler family of companies, where she held positions in research and development, engineering, manufacturing, product marketing and planning, product litigation, quality and customer experience and operations. That's a lot, a mouthful, but I love it. In addition, Judy has a rich history of promoting diversity and inclusion and supporting the employee voice through her involvement in employee resource group development for Mercedes Benz. At Mercedes Benz, Judy was the head of eMobility, HV systems, and quality engineering, product and business strategies designed to expand the presence of alternative propulsion systems in North America. Her experience at Daimler included global product planning and marketing and assistant and business advisor in the office of the chairman and CEO, among other responsibilities. Judy has been awarded several patents as well as, I'm going to stop right there, several patents. We didn't say one, we said several. I love that. As well as the Women of Color Technology Award and the Career Master Women's Leadership Award. That is amazing. And so here we are today to talk about you. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So we're just going to hop right in and get busy chatting with you. And then as we chat, I'm going to look at the comments. And I do have some already. So I'm going to welcome in our guests. It looks like we have Bridget Kegler. She was a recipient of our award before. I believe Bridget is in the South. Nikki Harris, who you know. We have Justin Wicker and we have Lindell McEwing. We have guests today, and I'm excited that you all have joined us. Be sure to put your comments or questions in the chat, or after this show, we do have an opportunity to have it evergreen. So you'll be able to go back yourself, Judy, and watch it, but also your colleagues, wherever they are, will be able to access it not only on LinkedIn Live, and thank you, LinkedIn, for this platform, but also on YouTube and Facebook. So let's just hop right in. with your impressive career as a trailblazer in the automotive industry. And might I say, we had an opportunity to be colleagues and work together. And I appreciate having gotten a chance to know you and to admire and adore all that you do. And so, as I continue to watch from afar now that we are no longer in the same organizations, I still marvel at just how you've ascended to senior leadership roles in such a technical area of responsibility. And so let's just get started and tell us the backstory of your career. I know you've worked for some of the top OEMs and tier ones. So just let's hear about how you view your career and where you've been.
Right. Thank you, Lisa. I think I'll start by saying that, I am a small town Alabama girl. And I often say that I'm that small town Alabama girl living in a Midwest Michigan world, right? I was my parents' curious child. I was that one that asked all of the questions. I think I must have driven them crazy because I was so curious and I was always taking things apart and putting them back together and not always in the right way, right? But I think that curiosity probably served me well because I did become an engineer. I am an engineer, a degreed engineer. I have a BS in electrical engineering. I have a Master of Science in mechanical engineering, and I have an MBA. I attended a small, predominantly male private engineering school in Southeast Michigan, where the student body mix was roughly 90% male, and
Wow.
there were no academic teams.
Mhm.
So I always say that I learned how to learn at Kettering because there really wasn't much else to do there.
Yeah, yeah. I remember catering. Most of the colleagues that we were engaged with in the automotive industry when I was there, catering was very popular.
Mhm.
And so, as you consider that backstory of curiosity, why don't you tell us a little bit about your current role as Vice President of Quality at Cummings? Give us an understanding, if you would, of Cummings, first of all, and then what is your role?
Mhm. So Cummins is a global power company. We power the world, as we like to say. We're celebrating 102 years of industry leadership this year in
Mhm.
calendar year 2021. We have approximately 60,000 employees worldwide. We have a presence in 190 countries and territories globally. We built 1.3 million engines in calendar year 2020. Now that's during the pandemic, right?
Wow.
Last year. We have about 9,000 dealer locations around the world. And in calendar year 2020 alone, pandemic year, we invested more than $900 million in research and technology. And I think that's really important because it
Mhm.
speaks to the fact that, we are a company that is continuously reinventing um, ourselves and being prepared for how the market is changing, how our industry is changing. But I think that there are some other stats
Yeah.
I'm really um, more impressed by.
Okay. Okay.
55% of women are on our executive teams overseeing strategy at Cummins.
Wow.
59% women.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. No, you don't hear that
Yeah.
statistic.
Mhm. We've got 22 million community grants in dollars that we awarded last year. And 17 million women and girls have been impacted by law and policy changes from our Cummins Powers Women's Initiative since calendar year 2018. And I always like to talk about those stats
Yeah.
because um, it underscores the type of responsible company that Cummins is and where I absolutely want to be in the second half of my career. So you mentioned, I am the vice president of global quality for this company. My organization is about 2,000 people strong worldwide, and I am responsible for the quality over the 5 divisions
Yes.
that comprise our company, and for moving us into this new age of quality, which is Quality 4.0. Everybody hears and understands about the IoT and Industry 4.0 and Quality 4.0, which is how we embrace and do quality from a technology-enabled standpoint. So that's what I'm responsible for.
Wow. I mean, that, I don't even know where to begin. Whether I should start back with the statistics or whether or not we should talk about your role over 2,000 people globally of quality. And quality is a huge part of the infrastructure of any major company. I mean, it's the life and bread of whether they survive, rather it survives, right? But tell us a little bit about this impressive characteristic or credible attribute that you have because you earned it, which is your patents. Tell us, how did you decide
Yeah.
to go after patents, and specifically what is it about?
Yeah. So, I am an engineer, right? And in the automotive industry. And as an automotive professional, as an engineering professional, engineers are always problem solving. That's what we do. I mused a little earlier about learning how to learn at Kettering. Well, I absolutely did learn how to learn and learned how to problem solve. One of my patents, which is still in production today with Daimler, is an energy absorbing steering column. And typically innovation and invention comes from necessity, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I often tell the story about that time in the actually late 90s, early 2000s, around the Christmas holiday, right around now. And we had a product that we needed to launch, our new small car that wasn't passing the FMVSS motor vehicle safety standards, the
Yes.
impact crash standards. And that meant that my team and I, we could not go home until we found a solution, because we had a model year and a half V1 launch to protect. So my team and I, we went into the labs. We worked right up until December 23rd
Right.
because we needed to launch the product. And out of that necessity came that first patent. One of my other patents is dry machining and utilizing heat pipes to improve the longevity of machining bits, because you may know with metal against metal and machining, the lifespan of machine bits is not long. And in an automotive industry, in a manufacturing industry, those dollars count. And so I was able to save a lot of money by extending and improving the life of machine bits by installing heat pipes inside the drill bit. So that's one of the
Wow.
systems.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. As I think about what you've shared about being at Kettering and then having launched patents and got them approved, and now you're over, you're 2,000 people responsible for quality. Um, it's really related to your, I think, incredible aptitude, but also because of your reputation. I remember, working with you. Your reputation was stellar in designing global strategy in the automobile industry, right? And so, specifically, you led at the top of the organization when you were at Chrysler as a business advisor for Chairman and CEO Dr. Zetchett, which I totally admired at the time. And as a woman in manufacturing, my question is, how hard was it breaking through to that level in the business, given you and I know it being male dominated?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you for that question, Lisa. I'll tell you that as I navigated my career, I was always the only, in the room,
Mhm.
because I chose to enter a male-dominated, predominantly white industry. So I was either always the only woman in the room or always the only BIPOC in the room. And a lot of times, I felt isolated until I realized that my value was actually in my difference. And I learned that really, really valuable lesson when I worked for Dr. Zetcha. You mentioned him earlier. He was my mentor early on in my career and still is today. Dr. Zetcha chose me
Yes.
because of the differences that I embodied. And he was really the first person to speak that into my being and into my spirit. And I hold on to that today.
Wow. Well, you hear stories all the time about, the automobile industry being, male dominated. And you and I know both that that happened. So would you say that there's more of um, opportunity meets preparation, or, those who pay their dues make it, or both?
I think I'd be firmly on the side of a little bit of both, Lisa.
Yes.
I think some of both is at play all the time. I don't think that you can be prepared for the opportunity if you don't pay your dues, especially when you're not a member of the majority power circle. Right?
I don't know. I know. I think as you talked about, um, paying your dues and then also being prepared. I know that both, in my opinion, as you just said, are required. So when you think about gender equity remaining at the table today, even though you and I thought by this point in our careers, we wouldn't be having this conversation, what are your thoughts on how a woman navigates through diversity or adversity to reach her goals, specifically as it seems that the keys are hard to reach, right? You reach and you reach. So you mentioned several things, and I'd like you to elaborate on that, plus whatever else you want to do. You had someone who took the time to make a decision to pour into you, right?
Exactly.
Then you also said that you can't. You all have to value, your difference. Are there other keys that, as you think about messaging to women that are listening today, um, with this gender equity issue still on the table, what else could they do?
Yeah. That's another excellent question. I think as women, we always have to look for those external advocates. And I underscore external advocates because I'm also going to say that I think we always need to dig deep internally, right?
Mhm.
We can't be afraid to let those individuals that have the power advocate for us. And that takes us back to the dues, opportunity, and preparation question, right? Do your homework, be prepared, and always be open to those opportunities and recognize and realize that all opportunities are not always growth opportunities. Sometimes there's a sideways move here and there that's going to prepare you for that next step.
Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, I'm one of those, and that's my mantra. Do your homework. If the opportunity is there and you haven't done your homework, it's probably not going to work. So I love the fact that you said that. So mastering your career, and you and I know we've had pivots, we've had detours, we've had adventure, we have excitement, we had some valleys, and peaks. All that happens, and it's really part of the journey. It's part of the walk, right?
Yeah.
When did you get a glimpse of the very future that you're in today? I often say to women that the job you have today is about the future. And the reason I say that is because what you're achieving today is helping what you're going to be able to do tomorrow, right? Because
Exactly.
you're already experiencing it today.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
so
not about today. I mean, you should use the gift of today. But I guess my point is, when you were a girl, I'm sure you had some dreams because you were curious. Did you get a glimpse of the fact that you might be an engineer?
Well, honestly, Lisa, when I was a little girl in rural Alabama, as far south in Alabama as you can get before you fall into the Gulf of Mexico, I did not, I didn't know what an engineer was at that time. And I grew up,
Yeah.
in Mobile, Alabama. until my parents moved us to Southeast Michigan when I was in high school. And so it wasn't until then that I learned that things that I liked, the fact that I was curious, that I loved math and science, and I was good at those things, meant that there was a career for me, and that career was made a reality for me by someone who recognized me. You know,
Yes.
I learned about engineers, and I actually met my very first real life engineer when I moved to Southeast Michigan, and he looked like me. He was
Okay.
a person of color, and
Mhm.
recognized and saw in me, and he helped to guide and direct me. So that
Yeah. That's so it sounds like not only did you have
here
some
today.
opportunities when you moved to Michigan, take us back a little bit to Alabama, because you and I talked a minute about the fact that I'm from Mississippi, and so we have so much responsibilities to pay it forward and to give, right?
Yeah.
So where in your memories about your family, I don't know where you line up in your siblings, but how did that rich foundation for you give you business ethic and resourcefulness?
Yeah. You might be able to relate to this, Lisa, being from Mississippi, but in the deep South, growing up in Mobile, Alabama, families were not always traditional in the sense that we know them today: a
Mhm.
mother and a father and a couple kids and a dog and a situation like that, right? In the South,
Yes.
although
Are you
I
there?
didn't know kids. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
now I can. And you said in the South. What'd you say?
In the South, I didn't recognize this term that I'm going to use in a second, right? We hear it now. It takes a village, right? But as a child, when I was born, in the early 70s, and growing up in Mobile, Alabama, that was just the way of life. My grandmother was the pillar of the community, right? She was a mother of the church, right?
Yes.
And in Mobile, Alabama, we went to church 3 times on Sunday and every other day of the week except Saturday. We got a breather on
Sounds
Saturday.
familiar.
On Mondays, right? After school, we went to church so that we could participate in YPWW, Young People Willing Workers. And I always recount that story because it was there that I learned how to be accountable. I learned how to live church. Church was in me, and we had to give back to the community. Young people, willing workers.
Yes.
Every Monday after school, that's what we did. It was instilled in us, and I know that's not uncommon to you. It probably sounds very, but
Mhm.
that's where my ethics and my resourcefulness comes from. It was instilled in me early as a child in the deep South in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, and we learned about community. We learned about the teachers and the folks from church would be the same folks that were helping to rear you.
Oh,
My mom would
absolutely.
always say, "You're being reared by all of us, right? Coming
Right.
and going."
It's a village.
In
Yeah,
a
we
village.
didn't use that term back then, but
Yes.
that's exactly what it took a village, and
Yes.
everybody knew.
Everybody knew it was. I mean, you couldn't get upset with the teacher because she definitely is going to tell your mom before you got home. And
Absolutely,
at the end of the day, it was all a big family, right?
absolutely.
So I get inspiration listening to you about your success. And what would you think, just one or two words, your superpower would be? If someone had to describe you and you weren't in the room, what would they say your superpower is?
Um, I know now today, I didn't know this 20 years ago, but my superpowers are in my differences. Years ago, I spent so much time trying to assimilate
Yeah.
and be like the majority because I thought that was the path to success. It
Yes.
took a mentor that didn't look like me, Dr. Zetcha,
Uh-huh.
to tell me that my value was in my difference, the fact that I had a different experience, right?
Yes.
The fact that I was a female impacted our bottom line at a global company like Daimler, because don't you know that 62% of all new car purchases in the US are made by women?
Yes.
And don't you know that 85% of the decisions are influenced by women, right? So, yeah, so it matters, what we bring to the table in who we are and in our differences
Mm-hmm.
makes a difference. And when we learn how to embrace those differences and be our authentic self and recognize that that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's when we embrace and harness those superpowers, I
I
think.
love it. I love it. And you've already answered my questions. I'm sure that as you're mentoring others, whether they're observing you from afar or whether you're working with them one to one, you're giving them an example of authenticity. And I know it's used frequently, but really it's about being yourself and showing up and owning what you bring to the table and being proud of the fact that you are different, right? And so
Absolutely.
as we talk about success, can you talk about those moments? Because we all get challenged, Judy. And sometimes you want to give up. You just feel like, okay, I'm trudging along, I'm trying to get it done. And at the end of the day, giving up is easy. Getting up every time you fall down, however, is tough, right? So, what would you say has been keeping you going during difficult times? I know you've had some of them. I know I've had some of them, but watching you manage through that has just been amazing. I want you to know I am very inspired by what you've had the ability to withstand. And so let's hear about how you continue knowing that we all go through.
Yeah, yeah. You know, um, we've got an amazing group of leaders at Cummins, and I've had the awesome opportunity to meet with, and talk with, and I mean, sit down over dinner and talk with these amazing people. Many of them looking like me, either by skin color or gender, right?
Mhm.
And one of those amazing individuals told me not too long ago that it's always good to speak about um, your story in 6-word novels.
Wow.
And I don't know that what I'm about to tell you is a 6-word novel, but I know that there are these quotes from inspirational people that motivate me.
Okay.
I dig deep often, you know, for my faith.
Yes.
Faith is central to who I am.
Hmm.
It is innately who I am. And if I had to point to, a famous quote, I think it would be Joshua 1:9, where it says, "Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged." And I play that in my head over and over and over and over, especially in times of adversity when I'm feeling kind of alone, and I don't have individuals, or I don't feel like there's anybody like me or supporting me. I can always dig deep for my faith.
Wow.
Mhm.
Man, I just got chills and an emotion came over me. So I'm going to stop right there because I know that we all needed that very comment from you. And I'm going to try to put it in here again. It was Joshua. What is it?
1:9.
Okay. In case someone wants to have that information, I'm actually putting it in the chat. By the way, I'll chat. People are on here. One says, "Great interview today, absolutely inspiring. Thank you both." One is that I'm from Louisiana. The other is a trophy signal. So the engagement is great. I really appreciate you all for being here with Judy and I. I could go on forever to talk with her. I got so much out of this. I got the 6-word stories. I got the quotes. I got, the information about how you've had the ability to dig deep, snap, snap, because we all have to do that. And then I'd like you to do us a favor. I have two more questions. We are at our 30 minutes. And what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? Love that question, right? I often tell folks, well, first of all, I'm a runner. I run. I've
Who
run,
knew?
yeah, 5 marathons in the last 6 years. I didn't run a marathon last year because of my other fun thing. I am an HGTV junkie, right? I often tell people that the Property Brothers don't realize that they should be the Property Brothers plus one, and I'm the plus one. And the reason that I did not run a marathon last year is because I have 8 slabs of granite stored in my garage, and one day I needed to move them around. 8 feet by 5 foot granite.
Uh-huh.
I needed to move it. Don't ask me why, but it fell on me, right? And it
Oh,
crushed my left wrist,
oh my gosh.
left ankle, and crushed my pelvis. So my orthopedic surgeon hasn't released me to run.
It fell on you? Oh my gosh.
So
Remarkable that you're smiling and grinning. Who would have known? Because you, like I say, you carry the strength of like warrior. You carry it very well. Every time I speak with you, Judy, I am amazed, and I said this before we started the show with you, that you have this humble spirit,
thank you.
this kind, mild manner of being very silent, but you are so far from that in your delivery. And so it could be a personality. I don't know. Is there something you can tell us about how that style works? Because some people are extroverts,
Mhm.
and we weren't going to talk about this. But I need to get this in from what you've delivered.
Yeah.
I watched your career, and like I say, we worked in a space that we had this admiration for each other,
Mhm.
and yet you did your thing, I did my thing, but you had a silence about you, but yet at the same time you were at the top of your game. And so I want you to tell people that I would consider you maybe an introvert to some degree.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you would tell people that being an introvert is okay, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. How do you share that with people of
Absolutely.
doing that?
Well, people will often ask me about my leadership style, and I am unapologetically a servant leader. I think it's who I am innately. It has to do with how I was raised, and the fact that I'm faith based, and I am a servant leader. And of course, my MBTI, my Myers Briggs, tells me that I am an introvert. INTJ.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think all of those personality uh, surveys, and the fact that my faith is at the core of who I am, just underscores the fact that I am a servant leader. Yes, I am an introvert, but I enjoy edifying, uplifting, and putting other people forward. It gives me strength. It
Yeah.
uplifts me. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I admire the style. I think you speak when you need to, and then people listen because you're not speaking all the time. But yeah, no, you aren't. And you are, in my opinion, just a great example of um an introvert personality that has gone to the heights of your career versus an extrovert personality
Mhm. Mhm.
who's gone to the heights. You can do both.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are and how you deliver. So I like to leave, and I hear great interview. Thank you, audience. Servant leadership provides a great reward. I mean, that's what I hear. Thank you for all of your comments. Let me ask Judy before we leave what she can give our audience for the career master moment. And that is something that we can take away with us to just think about as we head into the balance of our week. And then as we take with our careers, because we have people that are absolutely in their positions and jobs who's always looking for gems and nuggets to get through it. So I leave that for you to answer.
Yeah, and I think I've touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think it's so important. We have to recognize that our power and our value is in our difference. I would encourage everybody to self reflect and understand how you're different and
Mhm.
embrace that difference and bring that difference with you every single day and be unapologetically whoever you are, whether it's an introvert or an extrovert.
Wow.
Bring that difference.
I love it. Well, I want to first of all repeat that as our career master moment. Power is in your difference. Bring that difference each and every day. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to add a little bit to it. It's something you say serve others because
Absolutely.
it's really not just about you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed being here with
I
us today.
did. Thank you so much. It was
And
amazing.
I don't know if anybody has questions, but if you do, as I mentioned before, this show is weekly and you have an opportunity to actually go back and review the show and add comments as you please. Thank you, Judy. We'll see you next time and have a great holiday as we head into the holiday season. Bye.
Thank you so much. It was an honor talking to you this morning.
Thank you, as always. Love you much.
Yeah.
Bye bye. So, thank you, audience, for being with us today. I want to let you know that we are so pleased to be able to bring to you interviews with proven leaders that can share gems about how they've done it and where they've been in their careers. I want to also just thank you for your time because I know you might have taken some time away from your busy schedule today to be with us. I want to remind you on a couple of things about our show. If you have recommendations for the show, just send us a note. Right now, our first season is ending the second week in December. We are all booked up now between now and the end of the year for our special guests. We want to thank Judy again for her time. Our next guest, I believe, we're going to be with Monica Hammond. No, it's Monica Hammond, I believe, from Verizon. So you're not going to want to miss that as well. What I want to share with you is that we're about the business of women, and our holiday issue magazine actually is going to be on the stands and available for purchase on December the 1st. On the cover, check this out. On the cover is Jasmine Crowe. Jasmine is the CEO and founder of GoodR, an amazing nonprofit organization that is doing extremely well based out of Atlanta. We have more to tell you about that in the coming weeks on our social media pages. So please follow us at Career Master on LinkedIn, Instagram, as well as Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. We're everywhere. And then you'll get to read about her story. She has done an amazing job. Our theme for the holiday issue is Season the Soul. And Jasmine is absolutely seasoning the soul by feeding the hungry and by feeding those that certainly don't have. So follow that. And then we will have a special edition publication at the end of the year showcasing leaders in college. The I Am Her Career Mastered special commemorative edition will come out at the first of the year, and we will be able to provide you with a look at some of the HBCU's leading schools, their queens. These women have and carry the title Miss in their leadership. So we're excited about that. I also want to share about the pitch competition that is coming up. And soon as we complete the application process, you can apply for your TEDx moment right on this show. If you are someone who is unemployed, who's transitioning your position, looking for promotion, and really truly is about the business of leadership, we are here to help you. That's what we do. We advance women's leadership. So here's your moment to tell the world why you are the leader that should be a part of someone's team or a part of a business, or the fact that you want to talk about your leadership. You can do that right here. So we're excited, and I can't wait to bring that to you as we continue to showcase women leaders. So season one, as I mentioned, is over. We'll start season two of the Inside Career Success Show in January. Be with us on the next week, and you will hear from several other women before the end of the year. And then last but not least, I'm going to get it all in. I am on my book tour. As many of you know, I just penned my third book called Capacity, Women Shattering the Limits Now, and the book tour has begun. So as you consider your holiday reads, or that you want to buy a book for women that certainly are about leadership, this is the book. I am talking about my DNA, how I was successful, but I give you the strategy for ensuring that you design an action plan so that wherever there is, you will be able to accelerate to that aptitude and that altitude of capacity. So we thank you and we'll see you next week and appreciate you for being with us today. And again, thank you, Judy, for all that you do. We'll see you next Thursday.